Hello from the outskirts of London in the United Kingdom. My name is Jennifer Upton. I am the author of Japanese cult cinema, films from the Second Golden Age. And I envy all of you at the Babylon Kino because you're about to watch one of the greatest early J horror films from the first Golden Age of Japanese cinema, Kaneto Shindo's 1964 Onibaba. You're going to watch it in all of its CinemaScope glory on the big screen, and that's why I envy you. This film is gorgeous. It's black and white. It's a vibe. It has everything that I love about Japanese films from this era. Not only the cinematography, but the creepy minimalist abstract sound design with screams and cooing pigeons. There's sweaty sex, there's violence, there's great acting. It's got a little something for everybody. If you've got a rough relationship with your mother-in-law, you're going to feel this movie. If you got a crush on your neighbor, you're going to feel this movie. It's a film that William Friedkin called the most terrifying movie I've ever seen. Take a good look at the Hanyu mask that the older lady wears in this movie. This was the influence for the design of the demon Pazuzu featured in The Exorcist, where you see it in the subliminal flash frames. I wouldn't go so far as to call this the scariest movie I've ever seen because most J horror, they're slow burns, let's be honest. It takes them a while to build up and then they punch you in the gut. But this movie works well on other levels. It works as a period piece, wartime historical drama. It works as an erotic thriller. There's a tiny bit of comedy in here. It is the best representation of blue balls I have ever seen on film. Not that we get very many, but ask yourself when you're walking out of the Babylon Kino tonight, is that the best representation of blue balls I've ever seen? Because I think it is. Um, anyway, I just adore this movie, and I'm very happy that AC Nicholas asked me to discuss it. It's based on a Buddhist parable, which is basically the FAFO of Buddhist parables, which is your actions have consequences. And the mother-in-law in this movie, she does some things that she pays for dearly. Um, it goes all the way back to not so much punishment by the gods, but again, that actions have consequences. That being said, her actions and the actions of her daughter-in-law, those are the two main characters, are completely understandable for the first half of this film. These women are starving. The land can't be farmed because there's a war raging that's been going on for 130 years. That's generations of people who are starving. And the land has been trampled by the horses and all of the people, so it can't be farmed. So they start essentially a primitive murder business. And it goes pretty well for them for a while until it doesn't. And the next door neighbor, and there's a crush on the next door neighbor, and lots of things happen. And the whole thing takes place in a very hot, humid summer, which anyone who's been to Japan will tell you it's murder in the summer in Japan. So basically, everyone walks around topless in this movie, and it's not a big deal. Everyone's sweating constantly. And that adds to the eroticism, but it's also just the base nature of humanity. These women are hungry, they're desperate, and they're horny. And that's the movie you're about to enter into. Keep an eye out for the main actress, Nobuko Otawa, as the old woman who doesn't have a name in the film. She's a standout. She was actually married to the director, Kaneto Shindo. She's only 39 when they filmed this movie, and they grade her up a little bit, but it's pretty obvious that she's not an old woman. She's pretty hot. So, take that with a grain of salt. But she's very competitive with her younger daughter-in-law. Let's just put it that way for love rivals. And there are some widescreen shots of her eyes in this movie that remind me a lot of the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns, where he just fills up the frame with her eyes, and she looks like a cat stalking her prey. Then we have Hachi, the next door neighbor, who they both kind of have the hots for. It's not like it's love. It's just pure lust. Everything about this movie, it breaks down humanity to its most primitive state. Um, the exploration of overt sex and eroticism became really common in the Japanese films from this era. You had the cruel story of youth that dealt with prostitution in the post-modern age. Then you had Nikatsu's Flesh trilogy, directed by Seijun Suzuki. You had art house dramas. They featured themes of desire, societal constraints, and psychological tension. There was so much great stuff coming out of Japan during this period. You've most likely seen the old Godzilla films, the old Gamera films, Seijun Suzuki's Tokyo Drifter, another J horror masterpiece, Kwaidan, an anthology piece from this era that was absolutely gorgeous. Highly recommend that. I believe AC has put the trailer on for that for tonight. Definitely check that one out. But Onibaba was a huge hit in Japan and globally in 1964. It was produced independently. Kaneto Shindo, sorry, produced this film independently under his Kindai label, but it was released worldwide by Toho. So it played in the Toho theaters in Japan. And when it was released internationally, it was released with subtitles, which was exceptionally rare during this period because all the Godzilla movies got dubbed into English horribly. But this one didn't. It was very well respected and still is to this day. Um, Literally, this and 1966 Kuroneko, also by the same director, known as Black Cat. Those are the two films that really cemented this director's place in the film history books. They're both great. But this is the one that gets talked about more. You may all have seen the 90s J horror, which was the second golden age. Films like The Ring or Ju-on the Grudge, or their American remakes. But this movie, Onibaba, is one of the original J horror films that started it all. So sit back and let it wash over you. And I hope you all enjoy. Arigato gozaimasu.